Please don't worry कि कोई सफेद बाल वाले बाबा प्रवचन देंगे. It's nothing like that. So it's a lovely evening, lot of children and a good mix of parents and children. I think English is fine, or do we need to mix? English is fine. I am maybe poor in English, so I was looking for an escape route. Anyway, so this creativity or innovation in children is lacking across the world. I'll give you an example why I am saying this. So when I was invited for a keynote address to the Columbia University of New York, the president of the university in his welcome address made a very cursory remark saying that most of the Indian research is cut copy paste, which to a great extent is true, but since I was the only Indian present in the hall, I was feeling very bad. So I thought I should get back at him. So when my turn came to speak, there were 1300 vice chancellors in the hall. So it was a very eminent audience there. So I asked, what do you teach in your nursery or pre-K in the US with all the research that you do? So one of the vice chancellors raised his hand and said, we teach A to Z and 1 to 10. So I said, it's fine, with all the research that you do, you teach that. But when you teach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you come to 10, you've not taught the 0. And there was a similar kind of silence in the hall. It is because our parents have taught us 1 to 10. It is because our teachers have taught us 1 to 10. We have not asked questions. And we have simply followed without thinking what is right, what is not right. And on that particular day, they gave me a huge amount of money to do research on what to teach to the children of pre-K. Notwithstanding that, all of us do not think and we blindly follow what our teachers or our parents have taught us. Ethically, that might sound very true, but this generation which has come is not going to do that. They will ask a lot of questions. They will question our abilities, they will question our practices. And that is where it is important that we teach our children to think. Now I'll tell you why, if I have been called, why it makes me an apt person to speak on this. And I'll tell you the reason why I have started thinking, and it's out of force and not out of any compulsion. Now what is this? Till 12th I have not been to school. I was selling idlis from the age of 8 in Visakhapatnam. So morning 5:30 my mother used to give me the batter and there was a hand cart on which I used to sell. By the time we washed the last dish, it would be 11:30 in the night. So I was not able to go to school. Now at age 8 there were 11 hand carts and mine was the 12th. So what was special in my idli that it would sell more? So I started to think then that everybody was selling idlis with sambar and chutney, I was also selling. Everybody was selling it at 25 paise, I was also selling it. There were a lot of laborers who would come to me. So then I started thinking, what is different? Now the handcart owner who was my partner also, he said that my wife makes pickles, you sell pickles, handcart is free for you, no rent for it. Out of the 10 bottles of pickle, I will give you 1 bottle free, that is 10% incentive in today's world, and you earn it. So fantastic, I said. With all the confidence, I picked up the first bottle before selling the 10 bottles, saying that yes. And what was the thought behind that was that, one, idli is very bland. Without chutney and sambar, it is nowhere. So if I add a little spice to it, that pickle would add a little spice to it, so my idli would sell more. The thought was this. The second thought was idli is white in color. So if I put a small dot of red of pickle in between and the center of the idli, it looks more attractive. So with both these thoughts, I started using that pickle, and that is how my thinking process started. My idlis grew. I used to beat the rest of the handcarts, 11 handcarts, hollow. I put up a restaurant in 6 months' time, and so on and so forth. So the thinking process started then. Now, in our children, So when the US government said that you have not done your schooling, you can advise us because you don't have a bias of the four walls. So that was a new thought again that provoked me to think more into school education, and that is how my Think curriculum, which is used in 300 Microsoft schools in the US, is something that came about. And that's a curriculum that forces the child to think. It's not available in India as of now. Now, when a child is not provoked into thinking or creativity or innovation, after 12, 15, 16, 20 years when he becomes employable, CII and FICCI and all those agencies come and say that only 13, 14, 15 out of 100 children are eligible to be employed. And that is precisely the reason why in the school period you will need to force them to think, because they have learned their subjects. There is nothing wrong that the children have done. They have learned their subjects, but they have not learned how to think. So what we have done in these 300 schools in the US is that during that 5 or 15-minute assembly that you have, now as a psychologist I can tell you that the morning hours are best for your short-term memory. And that is the time when the brain is supposed to go in go mode. So if you don't put it in go mode and start introducing some concept that the teacher thinks, Kal maine yahan roka tha, let me start from here, he is not coming to that go mode. So that 15-minute assembly, we give a problem. And the problem surprisingly last when this was before Trump was elected. So we said, if Trump is elected, how is the education system going to change? And this was before Trump was elected. So we forced the child to think in those 5-10 minutes, giving a simple problem. Now in India, in Indian context, I might remove my shoes and ask the child that if you were in Akbar's shoes, how would you have avoided the Battle of Panipat? Now since we ask a question, when was the Battle of Panipat fought? It is only type 1 thinking. That means the child has to wrote and then give it out. Ulti karna, jisko hum log kehte hain. But if you say that you apply the knowledge that you have learned to real life situation and say, if you are Akbar, how do you avoid the Battle of Panipat? That is where the child's thinking comes. And I am very sure that these young people are much better at thinking than any of us. We know this. They keep us challenging, they keep challenging us all the time. Now, एक छोटा सा ये था कि एक बच्ची मम्मी के बगल में खड़ी थी, उस दिन बाई नहीं आई. This bai has become a big issue now. Now the bai has not come and mummy is washing the utensils. So this small kid is beside her and she says, Mummy, aaj aap bartan kyun dho rahi hai? And mummy gets a chance for a moral science lesson. So what she says, Beta, Papa has to go to office, you have to go to school. So I am the only one left, I have to wash. Okay, fantastic. Second question, Mummy, you have one grey hair. So now again, second moral science lesson for mummy. अगर तुम मुझे परेशान करोगे तो बाल सफेद होंगे, परेशान नहीं करोगे तो बाल काले रहेंगे. Now that today's kid says, now I understand why Nani's hair are grey. So this is today's kid. This is today's kid. He thinks or she thinks faster than us, 1.5 times faster than us. The wavelength at which they are, current teachers will not be able to match unless they too attain the wavelength, which is not impossible. But the pedagogy that we offer to these students is like offering a bland thali to the student with lots of items. Instead of that, give dal and chawal, but which is very tasty, which these people will enjoy. It is food for thought that they need and not just food to eat. They don't want that. And probably this is what the think that we have started in 15 minutes time. So this think curriculum that we do in the morning in the assembly is a fantastic tool to put the boy or girl into that run mode in the school. So I think what we should be doing is one, that we should first, earlier it was teacher-centric schooling, now it is child-centric, now it has to be child-brain-centric. So we are going into a macro level further. So we will have to understand this child's brain, that one, that the child of today is not going to listen to you all the time. Second, he is not going to sleep early as we used to do. They are late sleepers. You have to come to terms with that. Yes, you need to control that, but then his brain works faster in the evening because of the gadgets and the display screens which look more attractive in the night. So whatever your mind is habituated to, it will do the same thing. So if a chowkidar is used to waking up in the night, his brain is at its peak in the night. So today's children are tuned to that. So I think we will need to understand these children and offer them some dal chawal, which is food for thought. So I think I have taken my time. I should stop here and not give too much of things away. And if there is anything that today's children want to ask, I have, यानी नीचे का खाली है मेरा, यानी up to 12th no schooling, after that I have done everything. तो नीचे खाली है वो. That is why these new ideas come. And I think conditioning in school is bad, because after seeing me, people think that कि मेरे साथ अगर schooling नहीं हुआ, and if I am able to think, then is schooling good. So at that thought, thank you.